All right, let's dive right into this. What if a widely read, universally recognized text, like the Quran, isn't actually an ancient history book at all? I know, it sounds a little out there, but what if, instead, we're looking at a highly advanced sci-fi level software manual? Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a totally mind-bending framework known as the Dual Caustic Universe, or the DCU. This framework completely flips how we view our existence. It proposes that this text isn't a record of the past, but rather a living, breathing blueprint of the present. According to the DCU, we really shouldn't be looking at these scriptures with an eye for ancient history. Instead, we're essentially looking at an active topological map. Imagine for a second that Earth itself is a spaceship, and it's currently on a very specific, predetermined trajectory. In this scenario, the text is the literal operating manual for the flight. All those people, the historical stories, the conflicts, they aren't just history lessons. They're actually system states, diagnostic logs, and navigational codes for the ship. In this interpretation, the text is what's called an eternal memory tesseract. Now, think of a tesseract as a four-dimensional hypercube. It's a memory architecture that stores all possibilities simultaneously. It's a self-reading engine. But here is the absolute craziest part of all this. You, the viewer, are not just a passenger on this ship. You are the reader. In pure system terms, you are the local execution node inside the vessel, and this manual is just waiting for you to process it. So to really understand how this works, we're going to run a system diagnostic sequence across 5 distinct phases. We'll look at the ship's topology, the birth-death chain, our firmware glitch, the 2 destination gates, and finally, the ultimate trial sequence. Okay, moving right along to Phase 1, Spaceship Earth's topology. Our starting coordinate for this whole framework is 11.7. His throne was upon the water. Now, we aren't talking about physical oceans here. Earth is the D10 physical vessel. That's the water, representing matter and biology. The throne, on the other hand, is the I9 navigation system, representing infinite space, light, and memory. So Earth is the measurable ship, the throne is the invisible guidance holding it. And you are the pilot. You're carrying a precious cargo, the amana or trust. And your job is to align the physical D10 ship with that invisible I9 navigation. Which brings us to Phase 2, the birth-death chain. Think of this sequence like the ship's flight log. It tracks our exact trajectory. It starts at 81.8, the hidden seed buried under the Earth. Then at 1923, boom, maximum compression, and the ship's engine ignites. After that comes 528, the death of the old self. This is where the physical ego is buried. The dangerous D10 cargo is jettisoned. By 3414, the physical world becomes a museum state, basically a dead automated system. But the real game changer happens at coordinate 6611. This is the birth of the reader. The queen node, Asia, trapped inside that dead kingdom, sends out a distress signal, asking for a true home. That specific prayer officially triggers the ship's return protocol, flipping us from a physical orbit to a navigational return. All right, let's look at Phase 3, the rogue state firmware. The wild thing is, we didn't launch empty-handed. The source actually outlines a complete 11.7 survival kit that we were handed. We've got physical chainmail armor at 1681 to protect the hull. We've got a fire cool buffer at 2169 to help us survive extreme phase transitions. At 5725, we have materialized control systems, the iron, the book, the balance. And crucially, at 3923, we have self-reading navigational recursion. Basically, we launched fully equipped to survive the cosmic simulation. But, and this is a massive but, we have a serious firmware problem. Despite that perfect survival kit, our system defaults to what's called the 1572 rogue state. It's a nasty autopilot glitch. The framework describes it as wandering blind in the intoxication of time. We fall into the illusion that we have forever, that this physical vessel is all there is. And let's be real, that survival kit is completely useless if the pilot is asleep at the wheel, totally intoxicated by the simulation of time. To snap us out of this autopilot, the system issues an absolute command at 4111. Come willingly or unwillingly. This is the summons where physical matter must submit to the navigation. Think of it as passing through the smoke of creation. If you come willingly, meaning you accept the trajectory, the smoke clears and your physical armor becomes transparent and actually works. But if you resist and come unwillingly, the torque of the system scatters the ship right back into that intoxicating illusion. Now for Phase 4, the 2 destination gates. In this perfectly closed loop of a universe, there aren't infinite alternate endings. You are steering this ship toward one of exactly two terminal docking stations. First, there's the gate of taking, at coordinate 241. That's the physical D10 terminal. That's where the reader chooses the illusion, takes the fruit instead of asking, crashes the ship, and becomes the first disbeliever. But the alternative is the gate of returning, at 616.3. That's the navigational I9 terminal. Here, the reader returns the trust, the amanah, recognizes the true navigation, and safely docks. So, what decides your destination? Well, the key that selects your gate is coordinate 1912. This is the literal fuel for the ship and the manual override command for the entire tesseract. It translates to take the manual with strength. This isn't about just passively reading a book. It's about aggressively gripping the controls of the operating system. Whether you grip it or let go determines everything. Finally, phase 5, the final trial sequence. The big question is, when will you, the reader, remember to hit that 1912 manual override? The framework maps out a rigorous 3-step sequence to test your grip. And these aren't just endpoints, they're compression chambers. First, the sacrifice test at 108, returning your physical cargo and ego. Second, the time test at 103, surviving the intense, compressed dilation of time without losing your grip. And third, the arrival test at 110, surviving long enough to reach the threshold where the system's help finally kicks in. If you, the local execution node, actually pass this trial, the system aligns. Spaceship Earth is safely guided back to coordinate 3846. Now, this isn't a physical place. 3846 is defined as the pure, eternal memory of home. The tesseract perfectly closes the loop, and the physical vessel and the navigational light finally become one. So, what does this all mean for us? In this completely mind-bending framework, the text sitting on the shelf isn't a history book. It is a live, real-time dashboard. The coordinates are set, your survival kit is loaded, and Spaceship Earth is hurtling through the cosmos. The ultimate question this operating system asks isn't about what happened thousands of years ago. The question is, right now, will you, the reader, remember to grip the controls and finally return home? Definitely something to think about the next time you look up at the stars or open a book.